What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Tonight we have the conservative Mexican, or I think maybe his channel name is just Conservative Mexican. I don't know. He's got a channel. He's very transphobic, and he's going to tell us why atheism is still stupid.
You tell me how in all your secular morality and your agnosticism, how you helped stop any of this. Because the last time I checked and the last time I looked at it, it looked a hell of a lot more that your absence from faith caused a lot of this to get worse. Worse.
But yeah, so he's going to tell us why atheism is stupid while not actually tackling any of, like, claims by atheists or even, like, what atheism is in general. That's, you know, a lack of belief in God, or, you know, for those that are harder atheists, saying that God just flat out doesn't exist. So, I mean, he doesn't bring any of that up at all. He just talks about his transphobic views. So we're going to be ripping this guy apart tonight, so I hope that you'll enjoy that. Yes, here is the conservative Mexican. Now, the conservative Mexican sounds just as bad as his name sounds. If you're a conservative Mexican, I don't know, it just seems like something's not right there. But anyways, he's very transphobic, and he says that atheism is still stupid, but he doesn't actually attack anything about atheism.
What's going on, America? This is your conservative Mexican. So I was going to name the title of this video, 1 in 7 transgender female have AIDS.
That's one hell of a way to start off this thing. Spout off some kind of random fact. Okay, I don't know how this actually relates to atheism, but I'm sure you're going to tell us.
But I decided to change the title to a video that I had done earlier. Yes, atheism is still stupid. I just saw a report by the CDC that shows 1 in 7 transgender female. Okay, let's just be very clear what this is. Men who think that they're women.
I gotta stop him real quick. It's not that men who think they are women, they are women who have suffered, you know, gender dysphoria, or however you want to say it. They identify as a woman. So you saying men who think they're a woman is very not cool. Like, that's a really shitty thing for you to do. But it says a lot more about your character than anything that you could possibly bring up about the transgender community.
That number, which is 14%, is much higher amongst Hispanics, 26%. And it's a hell of a lot higher amongst blacks, 44%. So Mr. Secular Morality.
I'm Mr. Secular Morality here to tell you how you're fucked in the head.
Which, by the way, let me be very clear. When we talk about religion, most people who defend atheism tend to be men.
I mean, I have to say, here on the channel, I do have a larger male audience than female audience. But then, I mean, counter that, you could go and look at Mr. Atheist. His demographics are actually heavier slanted towards the female population. I think that there are more men as atheists, but I see that number growing in the female community. Maybe I just have a skewed perspective, but I see a lot more women joining the atheism community.
They tend to be men. Do you want to know how many transgender men, which are basically females who think that they're men?
Again, I just want to say, you're a shit fucking person. Transgender men are men. They identify as a man. For the most part, the transgender men out there, you wouldn't be able to tell them different from Sally unless you pants them and, you know, just trying to look at their dick. But that's kind of like sexual harassment or sexual assault, if you ask me. You forcing this identity on them is just really fucking shitty. I don't know what else there is to say about it. Basically, what it comes down to is that this guy is using statistics in order to push his own moral agenda. He doesn't know how to use statistics. He doesn't understand how you can use statistics to say anything that you want to. But you see, the thing is that statistics is a lot like road signs or clues. You can look at statistics and you can put clues together, but they don't actually tell you a story, right? You have to figure out the story that explains all the clues. clues. And that's basically very surface level what statistics is in this particular context. They're clues that you can use to formulate conclusions, but you cannot definitively say anything about it just using a bare statistic. I don't care how many people in the transgender community have HIV and AIDS. It doesn't really matter. If you want to draw some conclusions off of it, you could go with the lack of sex education, or the lack of support in that community, or just how that community is treated in general. There's a lot of reasons why that number could be that number. It doesn't necessarily have to be, well, these people want to pretend they're men and women and they just want to go and fuck everything in sight. Like, that's just an ignorant fucking thing to say.
Transgender female, who are actually men.
No, they're not. But continue, Mr. Bigot.
Are almost 5 times more likely to have AIDS than the woman who thinks she's a man.
For one thing, he didn't provide any studies in his description. He doesn't provide any kind of context to this. I don't know if these numbers are true, but even if they are true, just saying this or just pointing this out does not actually tell you a story. It's a clue. So you have to do other things in order to figure out why that number is that number.
A lot of people don't like it when I bash atheism because, once again, we're the ones that helped fight the Christian fundamentalists. Well, how the hell did you fight them? You explain to me as an atheist how you helped beat the Christian fundamentalists when our kids don't have parents, we're hyped up on drugs, sex, alcohol, medication, we're hypersexualized, and guess what? We're the ones that are dying, we're the ones that are murdering each other, we're the ones who are infected by diseases. You tell me how, in all your secular morality and your agnosticism, how you helped stop any of this.
Mr. Secular Morality here to ask you, what the fuck have you done to stop it, motherfucker? I mean, I personally haven't done anything to stop, like, the spread of HIV, other than the fact that prior to being with KC here, and prior to being married, I guess, when I was dating, basically, I would use a condom. Okay? I would. And that's how you do it. You educate people on safe sex. To say that I have to solve this quote-unquote epidemic in order for my morality or secular morality or anything like that to be justified or to be good in any kind of way, I think is really disingenuous. I feel like it's fallacious as fuck. And given that religion has pretty much dominated the public scene up until fairly recently, there were still STDs, there were still STIs, people were still dying, wars were still continuing on. So I don't see the point in bringing this up and being like, oh, well, you got such great morality, why haven't you solved this problem? It's like, well, fuck, you've had the reins for so fucking long. Why haven't you solved the problem?
Because the last time I checked and the last time I looked at it, it looks a hell of a lot more that your absence from faith caused a lot of this to get worse.
How does anybody's personal lack of faith in a god contribute to, like, epidemics in the society or anything like that? Like, I don't understand. I'm guessing that he's probably a Christian considering he's conservative. Christians take up the banner of you gotta please God or you gotta give everything to God in order for bad shit not to happen. And so he's probably working off that. I am just kind of guessing here, you know, I'm finding the clues and I'm seeing what idea fits, but he's probably working off that you have to acknowledge God or give everything to God in order for bad shit not to happen. So atheists are culpable for all these epidemics running through our society, all the diseases and everything like that, never mind like specifically HIV or whatever, just diseases in general, are because people don't believe in his God. That's what it boils down to.
Because you know what the CDC said?
Ooh, what did the CDC say?
The reason why transgenders have more diseases is because they don't have opportunities. They don't have the access to safe sex. And you know what's happening in California, America? They're teaching our kids safe sex in the form of anal sex. They're teaching our kids about transgenderism. That you should be telling kids you can't just say him and her. They want to teach all those other words in our school system. Yeah, there's actually protests going on right now. I got a call from a parents' union. Not a parents' union, but a parents' group of concerned parents that are seeing, wait a minute, why are you teaching our kids about sex?
you're angry that people are giving proper sex education to kids. Now, sex education, of course, should go with health classes, which should occur in high school. So, I mean, that's when it should be happening. Do you really want to shelter your kids so much that they don't know about sex? Do you really think that by age like 10, your son doesn't know about sex at all? Like, he's got friends at school, I'm sure, that talk about sex. I've had a discussion with my son, not necessarily about sex, but just about how that's more of an adult conversation. He doesn't need to be having sex or anything. I don't know. I'm very doubtful of the teachers actually, like, doing something outrageous, you know, in his area.
Young ages. That was one of the main reasons why I made that video that said why being an atheist is stupid. Because once again, what are you teaching our kids?
I'm not teaching your kids anything there, Rosef. I'm teaching my son, you know, certain things. And when he gets a little bit older, I will definitely let him know more about sex. I'll have the birds and the bees talk, whatever the fuck. And I would seriously hope that my local school would teach him, you know, sex education, or, you know, have those conversations with him. Promote a positive outlook on sex rather than a negative sort of abstinence only, or that you shouldn't do this kind of thing. You know, teaching about the use of condoms and how they can prevent STDs, STIs, and all that other shit, and practicing safe sex is important and is the smart thing to do.
And I'm part of it. I'm the one that has to see it every single day. In California, they're saying amongst the young kids, there's an epidemic of gonorrhea.
If there's an epidemic of gonorrhea, maybe you should be talking about your kids about safe sex. Because, I mean, I gotta tell you, you're not gonna be able to control whether or not your kids have sex. You can think that all you want to, that you can control your kids and the whole having sex thing. But I can guarantee you, if they want to have sex, they are going to have sex. So if they are going to have sex, you might as well prepare them and teach them about safe sex. Gonorrhea is treatable, so you can go and get some fucking, I don't know, what is it, penicillin? Antibiotic or something like that? I mean, honestly, if these are the biggest concerns about secular morality, you don't have to worry about it, because guess what? It's not like gonorrhea cropped up as soon as fucking atheism hit the scene. It's not like, 10, 15 years ago, all of a sudden gonorrhea is a big fucking thing. I mean, STDs have been around for the longest time.
So not only are we hypersexualized, we don't even know who the hell we are.
Honey, you ever been so horny you forgot who you were? I don't know, I have. I woke up one day, I was so horny the night before, I was just like, who the fuck am I?
If we're all the same, then why is one more group of people prone to something else? Because they're more sexualized.
He's trying to put forth this idea that secular morality allows people to become more sexualized. I would disagree with this. I would say that it promotes the acceptance of sexuality instead of the whole guilt-laden theology of religion. Because religion really damages people on sex. I know that I've talked to a lot of people, even on the for the channel, that have talked about how religion has negatively affected, their outlook on sex. It's very damaging. And I would say the secular morality, or taking religion out of it in general, promotes a healthier view of sex. And it actually promotes sex education, like good working sex education. All religion really has to offer is like abstinence only, which is funny because Christians, at least, believe in a virgin that got pregnant. A virgin that got pregnant had the savior of the world, but yet abstinence only works 100% of the time. I don't think so. So basically what this guy is doing is he's being a bigoted transphobic who's telling us to shame our kids out of having sex and to, I guess, suck Jesus' dick, which is kind of a mixed sort of signal. What you say, hon? I mean, he hasn't specifically said Jesus, but I'm thinking he's probably Christian, so he's sucking that Jesus Yahweh dick.
Hell no. That's why my kids are going to private school.
Oh, thank God. Honestly, my son goes to public school, and trust me, if your children are as crazy as you, or you're raising them to be as crazy as you and shit, I don't want you anywhere near my kids.
If they're going to learn about this stuff, it's going to be when I tell them to learn about it. They are not going to be having sex and doing drugs at freaking the 4th grade, the 5th grade, because it's just a change in times.
Who is actually making this particular fucking argument? He's acting like elementary school kids are being taught to have sex or being taught about sex or anything like that. I know that my son's not being taught that. I don't know what the fuck they're doing out in California, but I can guarantee you it's not teaching 4th and 5th graders how to have sex. Jesus Christ. I would love to see where he gets this idea that 4th and 5th graders are being taught about sex. But this guy's like, shit, I don't want my son even knowing he has a dick unless he's got to take a piss.
It's a different culture. No, we allowed it to become a different culture, and it's not making things better. As a Latino, I am sick of hearing about white privilege.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Not why. He's gone all over the place. First it's transphobia, then it's fuck atheists because reasons, and now it's fuck this white privilege shit.
A complete disgrace that we are having diseases. We have kids that don't have parents. We have kids that grow up with no morality.
Yeah, fuck them foster kids, honey. Or them orphan kids. Fuck them. They don't have parents. Fuck those kids. Which I think is funny because I'm fairly certain that he's probably pro-life. And so he would want to force somebody to have a kid only to give it up to adoption. So that makes it like he's blaming these epidemics and like how sexuality has become more accepted in the public sphere, blaming it on these kids that have nothing to do with it. Also, atheism.
And it's getting worse and worse. Conservative Mexican signing out.
Oh, thank fucking God. Well, heathens, that was a particularly hard video to get through. I'm glad that you guys made it. If you're leaving out right now, please go down below, leave me a comment. Also, smash that like button and subscribe if you liked this live stream tonight. If you didn't, smash that dislike button. Leave me a shitty fucking comment. That actually generates content for the channel. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.